Tell us what happened.
The purpose of the pain, this is what God was dealing with me about.
Mm-hmm.
The purpose of the pain is to produce the power you need to walk in your purpose.
Mm-hmm.
With olive oil, with the olive, it has to be crushed. A lot of times we want to be what God called us to be, not understanding what it's going to take you to be there. When you go back to Aaron, I remember growing up as a kid, I was a jokester. If I would see her, I would laugh at it. But after I gave my life to the Lord, I was on the bus one day, and I saw a guy that got on the bus, and he was Down syndrome. And automatically I began to start crying. And I was like, okay, God, what are you telling me? And he said, I don't just want you to see it. I want you to feel what they're going through. So there's going to be some things in life that I'm allowing you to go through so you can be able to relate. And that's what the world is looking for. Can you relate? We always talk about Jesus came to die. He didn't just come to die. He came to be able to relate. People don't care how many scriptures you can quote. They know them. Can you relate to what I'm dealing with? Can you feel my pain? In the church, out the church? Who go back and reach those that just stepped out of the church? The ones that gave their life, just like what you said, wore out. You're doing church, you're doing work, you're doing father, you're doing ministry, folk pulling on you at every angle, and nobody taught me how to balance life. So when you don't learn how to balance life, something becomes unbalanced. And you giving everything you got, who's pouring back into you?
That was going to be my next question. Per previous talks.
Yeah.
Right? When you experience what you experienced in your life, or some will call it being backslidden, some will call it straying away, whatever way we want to call it, was the story of the woman that was caught in the act of adultery. How does that relate? Because see, she looked around and no nobody there but her and Jesus. And in those critical moments like that, because like you just said, that people only see you in one light. And the pressure of me having to not have a human moment ever. When something happened to me and I fall from grace, you know, that's what we like to say it. And did you find yourself now, I need somebody to reach for me? Was that available to you? Did anybody reach for you?
I'm going to keep it 100 with you.
Please.
I was doing, before the divorce, I was doing men's ministry. So I'm over a group of men, and your phone ringing, you're meeting people to do this, and you're doing all of that. And when I was asked to step down to work on the marriage, I had already knew that it was over. I already knew that different things had already been in play to where it was over. I just kept on doing ministry and tried to be as faithful as I could to what I had been called to. Then I was asked to step down. And in the middle of the message, the pastor was up preaching. He was telling me all that was getting ready to go on. And I'm like, you know, I believe in your word. I believe you get a sure word from God, but I believe you off on this one. I said, because there's nothing that can take me from the position, not saying that I was perfect, but I had been through too many things in life to leave all that I know. I had lost my grandmother right before the divorce went on. Then I lost my grandfather. Then I was asked to step down from ministry. Not because I was in sin. And I'm saying, God, wait a minute, step down. This is the only thing that's holding me together. When other people talk about they went and did this and did that, I say, I can't do that and grace the podium. I can't do that because of where I come from. Not saying that I was perfect, but saying, God, that's what my desire was. My desire was, Lord, love a hurting world through me. So you can't ask God to do something and not have experiences. And we want everything to be done in the church.
Yes.
What about all the people that's hurting outside the church? Who like my grandmother would always say, it's easy for people to say, I've been in the church, I've never had a mind to do this, never. But what about nobody wakes up one day and decide, I just don't want to do this church no more. With pain and with fear comes change. And you find yourself I didn't know nothing about doing nothing outside of church. Church had become my life. That's all I knew. And then to lose everything that you we're gonna keep it a buck.
Go ahead.
To lose everything that you fought so hard for. You remember, I had a scholarship to go to Illinois to play football. I gave up that because they were saying, God don't want you to go away to college. God don't want you to do this. And you're already talking about a young individual who grew up without a father. You're already talking about a young individual who didn't like what they looked at when they looked in the mirror. You're already talking about a young individual that dealt with all kind of hurts and rejections, who wanted to commit suicide as a young kid. But my grandmother would always tell me, Tony, there's greatness on your life. Yes. If you hold on, God gonna show you. You gotta hold on. It's gonna get rough, but I believe in the God that's in you. I was a little kid.
That's deep. That's deep. Hey, Jay, thank you for joining us. Thank you so much. So what you say, when you talked about balance, right? Mm-hmm. You say that you were sold out to the work. You're going to do this for God. You're going to serve the people. You're going to be present. Do you at any point feel like running at that pace was the demise of your marriage? Do you think that had anything to do with it? Did it contribute to it at all?
125%.
Talk about it.
125%. We give everything to ministry. I'm working overtime. I'm taking the time out to be with my kids. And your family is the one that struggles for. But if you don't have somebody to teach you balance, okay, single, your devotion is to who?
God.
The married, your devotion is supposed to be to who?
Your spouse.
And how you may please them in the things pertaining to what?
The world.
So when you don't have the proper people in place, you'll take the person who has the heart for it and you'll overextend them. Because you don't have we look for loyal people. And it is what it is. I'm gonna have to go here.
I'm not, listen. You free?
we look for loyal people.
Yes.
But we don't put a demand on them. We'll put a demand on the people who are already that don't have that balance in their life. And as being a pastor, you should already know this. So are we training the next generation to make the same mistakes we made? Are we telling them, well, you learned it how you learned it? Because these are some things that I went through, but I believe that this is what God wants you to learn. No, you don't turn around and let people make the same mistake that you make. You train them, okay, it's time for you to go home. You've been here long enough. Service is over. Go home with your wife. You do this, you do that. No, you ain't got to come to church Tuesday night. That's the only day that you have off of work. Spend some time with your wife. And I remember when she told me, she said, I lost my best friend when you gave your life to Christ.
Wow.
She said you became a whole nother person. Oh, she liked the idea of you being in church, you living right, you're going to take care of your family, you're going to make sure this, that. But the world had a chance to enjoy me. My family didn't really get a chance to. Did they watch God do different things in your life? And yeah, They benefit some things. They watch God open doors, give me favor, all that. But at the end of the day, it was like with the Ark of the Covenant. When the Ark of the Covenant got taken, it was left at Obed-Edom's house. Everything that Obed-Edom had was blessed. David said, let me go get it. When David got it, where did he take it? David took it to the church. He never took it home. And your ministry starts at home, right?
That's what it's supposed to be. I am floored.
But watch this. This is deeper.
I'm listening.
This is deeper. So David went and got the Ark of the Covenant, came down the street, dancing. Who was in the window that said you behave yourself unwisely today in front of all of the people? His wife. Right? It say from that day forth, his wife went barren and never could bear any children. Do you actually think that's the same? This is Saul's wife. This is Saul's daughter that we talked about that was given to David. The same woman, while he was running from his enemy, that covered him. The same woman that prayed for you and was there for you, that covered you through all the attacks of the enemy. Now she becomes your enemy? No, she don't. Because the anointing never came back home. And we'll put people at fault that's not at fault. Because they didn't teach us nothing. They taught us what they knew. They did the best they could.
Yeah.
Proper training.
That's a lot.
Wow.
That's a lot.
Oh, wow.
That's a lot.
Oh, wow.
Because what we don't want to face or what we don't want to accept sometimes is the hand that church can have sometimes in wrecking important relationships. And I think that lack of transparency and honesty, the last thing you want to do is say it's the church fault, right? And deal with people saying, oh, you're saying something bad about the church. No. You're bashing the church. But then you cannot deny people their experiences either. So what am I to do? Lie so I can stay in good graces with you, or tell the truth so I can be free?
But the thing of it is that God allowed it. Yeah. You could sit down and have some conversations with some people. And my ex-wife told me this. She said, it's amazing how many marriages God allowed you to save, but we lost ours.
Oh. Oh. That have to simmer for a minute. Because
that's deep. You've ran, you've helped talk to other people who marriages was rocky and they was doing whatever. They call you, you jump up, get on the phone all night crying and waking up in the middle of the night, she's looking over for you somewhere in the corner praying and going in for somebody else's. Yeah. So
what would you say, because you know who, I don't know if you know who Bishop Greg Davis is, but he's been very public with his story as well. And he talked about how him and his wife, they married young, and they immediately jumped 2 hands, 2 feet over into ministry, and it was thriving, it was booming, it was growing, and they had 2 different locations, and the plane was their life, the airport was their life, they ran, they went everywhere, and they said like 20 years later, they sat down across from each other and realized, I don't even know you. So what would you tell a young minister married with a family that's got that zeal for God, just want to run for Jesus? What, from your experience, your seat of experience, what wisdom would you give that young man now, knowing is going to conflict with what else may be told to him? Okay? What if he could listen? What would you tell that young minister, that young Timothy?
Your first ministry starts at home. Perfect that at home first.
But
you gotta what?
I'm needed, but they need me though.
And do you remember when they said you never give a position to a novice? You young. You just ready to go. And because of the lack of the men that are in the church, of course they're gonna pull on you. And you gonna get caught up in that. Most men play sports. We like the attention. And if you're dealing with men who already deal with low self-esteem, do you know how it feels when you finally reach and get into something that this is what God said I'm called to do? Ooh, it feel good. Not that you puffed up in the fact of being who you are, just feeling good about yourself to say, God, I am worth something.
It's like affirmation.
Right. You ain't standing up there talking, oh, I slayed the building. No, you're not talking about that. But you're just saying to yourself, this is what, because you finally found out what your passion is. You're finally being able to work in what it is that you've been called to do. You have seen the fruits of all the Saturday morning prayers, the Thursday night prayers, the consecration, the 90 days of 70 days of blaze and all that stuff that we was doing as a kid. And I went into a marriage like that. Locking yourself in the closet, praying 3-4 hours in the closet. She's like, who is this dude? I'm like, this is who I am. This is what they told me I gotta do to get what I gotta. You have to be anointed like that. And the only way you're gonna get it is I would go to prayer meeting, they would say, where you done been? What's wrong with your hands? I'm like, basketball. You've been playing basketball again. You can't play basketball. Folk dying and going to hell while you're out there playing basketball.
No way.
As a kid, 17, 18, going to prayer, that's how you going to the hospital with the, so I followed the same things that I did when I was being raised up. I didn't get balance. And you didn't get balance because the people who there was before you, they didn't get balance. Because most of them wasn't married.
That makes all the sense in the
Most
world.
of them wasn't married. So they'll tell you your wife got a demon.
Because she want her husband at home, she got a demon.
Yeah, but you're all the other women around you. How come I can't have my husband?
Ooh.
And if you don't watch it, you'll be on the same page they're on. That's God told me no in the beginning. You wasn't the one. But he allows everything to happen for a purpose. Do I blame church? No, because all of that I've been through makes me the person that I am. So I knew a guy, Jerry Felton. This is the singer Jeremiah's father. My father-in-law, that's his best friend. Jerry was on the radio preaching. Him and his wife, young. Jerry Felton slipped off and started getting high. His son would, after he became famous, would start coming back and get him and doing all of that, trying to get him to get himself together. And God would allow me to talk to Jerry Felton. I worked for CTA. He would be up there at the station. I would talk to him. He was like, man, Tony, I thank you for talking to me. Don't nobody else. Who gets the person who sacrificed their home, who sacrificed their kids,
Preach.
who lost everything? You can't get this in the church, Sister V. Do it feel good? Places that I found myself at and things that I found myself doing? No. But when you hurt, you hurt.
You hurt.
And a pastor told me, I said, it hurts because I've been there for so many people. And then when I'm going through, my phone didn't ring not one time. Do you know what he told me? Do you know how it is when you're in the gym and you're lifting? It's easy. It was easy for you to get it up off them. You can't let everybody spot you. You heavy. everybody can't get that up off you.
Whew.
So this is something that God is allowing you to go through, and He ain't gonna send you no help. Do you hear how crazy that sounds?
Yes, I know, crazy.
He's not gonna send you no help. Oh, but He didn't, and He wasn't, because there was some. He told John, "I need to be baptized of you." John was like, "I don't see this happening. I'm not worthy to bend down and unlace your shoelaces." He said, "Okay, get over yourself and how you feel that you're not worthy." He said, "But suffer it to be so." Suffer it means to allow it.
Yes.
There are some things that you have to allow. I didn't understand it, but I allowed it. There's things that has to happen. And because of this has to happen. We want to be anointed. We want to be able to do this, and we want to lay hands on. No, this ain't a laying on hands on nobody. This is a sitting down talking to them, and they'll be able to tell you some things that they won't tell nobody else. Why? Because you were there for them to talk to them and be transparent. Folk don't want transparent conversations. We want to talk to you about mountaintop experiences.
Yes.
What about when you fail God and all things work together? We act like God is like man. I'm not talking about when we sin. We talking about a God who already, just like a perfect movie, they make it from the ending to the beginning so it can have a perfect ending. God has already scripted your life out, and He's already said that you're going to be this, and this is how I'm going to get you there. It's a process.
Whew.
The purpose of the pain is to produce the power you need to walk in your purpose. Will you allow me to make you the proof that will produce the evidence that I am that I am? So that means you're going to have to go through something. And guess what? You're going to let folk watch you go through it.
Yes.
I remember you said you was, I remember. Now the old one wouldn't have been like that. Yeah, but my life is a whole lot different than it ever was. I wouldn't be able to do what I do and see God move like He moved had not things happen. We want it. You talking about people that are anointed. Have you ever noticed that when you read books, in the beginning of the book, it's called the forewords, and it has the author talking about how they came up with the book and all that,
Yeah.
and how they talk about their wife and how she stuck by him. When you get Joe Obama's, he talk about his wife believed in him and all this and all of that. But before that, these people didn't feel like that this can ever come to pass. Whatever God called you to do, if you can do it by yourself, it's too small. You need help to do this. That's why He gave you a help meet.
That's powerful. Okay.
Suitable.
Suitable.
Suitable for you and your vision.
Yes. Okay. But we're going to go there a little bit. Because, Minister Tony, it appears, do you think that men understand that? Do they understand the role that the woman plays in their life as it relates to them birthing their vision? Do you think they fully understand that? Are they estranged to, maybe that's why some of them are stagnant,
Where would they get it from? Anything that you get, you got it because you learned it from somewhere. Vanessa, we come from a day where the power was there. If you didn't have it, you didn't want it. Churches now is a little different.
True.
It's different.
Mm.
It's different.
It's a lot of information.
Yeah.
What,
it's attainable.
Right. Like, what is it that, okay, through your experience, because I've been through some crushing too, but it ain't about me today. What about your experience now that you've walk through the fire, how much more effective is ministry going to be now? Since you have came from that young man, been through all this different stuff, and it came out a different person. Mm-hmm. Now, through a different lens, how do you see how to approach ministry now? Would you do it the same way you was taught to do it?
Some I would, some I wouldn't.
Okay.
Because they just did the best that they knew. Mm-hmm. So you can't blame them for that. Right. But when it comes down to doing ministry, it's home first. I can't be mighty in the streets. And at home, that's why you get the pastors when they up speaking, their wife keep digging in her purse for candy and looking like this and turning her head. But find a man that the wife actually, not saying believes what he's saying, but is actually connected to him, and they're doing ministry together. Whatever God calls you to do, she's supposed to be the helper of it. When Adam had been given all the different jobs and stuff that he was supposed to do, he said, okay, this is not good. I got to make him some help. And we need help.
Yes, y'all do.
We need help. Help.
Ooh,
we need help.
What do you say to women? What do you say to a woman that say, I think I want to marry a pastor? Because see, I think we ignorantly, we like what we see polished on a Sunday and they matching. And his tie matching her shoe, whatever the case may be. That we see this on a Sunday morning. It looks so good. And we just want it in our hearts. We think that we can handle that. Coming from where you come from and what you know, and even been around circles of other men of God that's married and women of God. When a woman say, oh, I want a preacher, I want a pastor, what would you tell her? What would you say? What would your counsel be to her? She said she wants that. She praying for that.
We don't even know what we got to go through, Sister B. As being a man of God, I wouldn't want that on nobody. If that's not what you called to do, please don't do that. Please. You know how many wounded people are out here because that's what they wanted, not knowing what they're going to have to encounter. Whatever God is putting in him, you're going to watch him go through that. The going to church and coming back home, dealing with all the rejection, all that other stuff, you got to be able to have what you need to get all that off him. And we're not talking about in no bed. Because when a man gives himself over to God and all that other stuff that he's dealing with, that don't work. Ooh. That don't work. Now you're going to have to find somewhere and sit down because now you dealing with that and he ain't thinking about that.
What you say?
Because at the end of the day, his mind is still caught up on ministry, this, that, and that, because haven't nobody told him how to, okay, it's like a job. When you leave church, leave that there. Now it's time for you to switch roles. Now you're a husband. Now you're a father. Now you this. Whatever's going on in church, those are God's people. Those are not yours. Yes. Those are God's people. They're not your people. When it's all said and done, you go home and enjoy your family. Because that's where the church hurts come from. Look at most first ladies. They're hurt.
They are.
And who there's for them?
And neglected.
Who? No woman wants to know that means more to you than she does.
But they sharp. They neglected, but they sharp. The conversations that we previously had, we was talking about men and what they need and everything like that. Mm-hmm. Now, when I came across the brand of a lioness queen.
Mm-hmm.
It came from a revelation. It really did. Scripturally, she's a Proverbs 31 woman.
Mm-hmm.
But she, in human form, she embodies the traits of the actual lioness. And in doing so, she is all about her cubs and she is all about her king. Right? And how God gave it to me, and I love that I could go here with you because you're a preacher. Okay? You understand what I'm saying? All the way around the board because you have also walked this thing out, right? So the picture that God painted to me, how he gave me the national, he just had me watching them, lions, for months. And I'm like, why I keep on watching the National Geographic, the animals? He had me to zero in on the pride. He had me to zero in on the pride. And so it's like they were similar. He was showing me the family, mm-hmm. and he was showing me the pride, mm-hmm. and the positions that the lion and the lioness is in, right? The lioness understands that I have the speed, I have the agility, I have the stamina to run and chase something down and get it and bring it home. Some people took offense by the fact that she would go and get the kill and bring it home and let the king eat first. But, check the play. She knew, I'm going to come across something so big, mm-hmm. that the difference between us is that I have speed, but he got strength. Mm-hmm. So, even though I can chase it down, my cubs can be real hungry, right? My cubs can be really hungry, and I have to go and get this big old thing, but what if I ain't strong enough to take it down? I'm going to need him to be strong so that we can keep eating, right? Mm-hmm. So what he was trying to reveal to me is that we lost our sense of pride, mm-hmm. when it comes to family. We've lost our sense of pride. We've lost what's valuable to us in family life. We lost the value. We don't value our men anymore. We feel like we're empowered by the government and all of the resources they give us to trick us into believing
you don't need a man,
that we don't need y'all. And they'll make us feel like we're winning, but we're losing a whole generation because we don't have leaders. And I talked about this before. So, yes, we know that we could get a bag. Yes, we know that the system and society, the court systems, they're going to rule in our favor. They're going to give us the checks we want. They're going to give us the resources we want. Everything don't equal up to the leader.
But you're still working another man's vision.
All day long.
You may not be working your man's vision, but you still have to push another man's vision.
And then check this out, minister. Check this out. Another thing he let stand out to me. That king is highly concerned with his legacy. He is highly concerned with his legacy. And the way it's all set up now because of what you said, okay, who's teaching that? Because we quick to chase away the leader because it leaves us vulnerable, the women and the children. That's why we could be the ones flooding different organizations and doing all that. But our needs are not fully going to be met because we lack leadership out of a man. And as much as we want to hoopla about women in charge and all this stuff, at the end of the day, I don't care what you put in my hand. It's not going to replace the presence of that leader. You cannot buy that. And so we got to wake up and smell the Folgers, because in a church, outside the church, you see a bunch of women and children. First of all, it's not even scripture for us to be the provider. Let's talk about that. In the word, in Acts, they took care of the fatherless children, did they not?
Yes, they did.
But that's not the setup now. See, the setup is who you think, if it's filled up with women, who you think giving it? If the men ain't, if we outnumber y'all, what? I don't know, I done lost count because it was what, 7 or something. But now we are funding a lot of things. And because we're so busy, because we have to do this, we have to, why? Because with responsibility, all this stuff is elevated. It comes with responsibility. It comes with taking your time away, which means that you cannot pour into your children. Pay attention to what Sally and them doing. They coming up pregnant. This is happening. That is happening. Molestation, rape, everything happening right under our nose. Wow. We doing what? Working somebody's vision. And you know what? Ain't nothing wrong with being busy for God. We came in the door doing it all. You know that. The choir, the praise team, the whatever. I think the reality check that you cannot sit here and tell me, because yes, people will remember whatever they want to remember about you. But I remember a man of God with a family and a wife and children. That's what I remember. I remember coming in as a young lad, looking up to y'all like, wow, that is amazing, because y'all was the youngest couple. So to us, it gave us a light of hope. You know what I'm saying? And not to say that she was the, perfect one and one folks' favorite. Whatever the case may be, the woman did in the sanctuary, whatever around us, she showed us a wife. She showed us a wife. She showed us a mother. She was that woman that was good with her hands. Like, she sat us down and gave us the real. And she let us know, you better comb your hair. You better stop looking like you 75 and you 20. Right. She was the only one that sat us down at that retreat. But you know what I found out? Oh, yeah, it's beneficial for you to keep us looking like that.
I was going to say that, but I left it alone. You a threat. You a threat.
You want me looking like that? Because it takes the heat off. Listen, let me tell you something.
No, it adds the heat. It adds the heat to them if they really don't know it. It draws more. And what kind of kids are you raising? These are your children. You want them to do better.
Yes.
You want them to eventually get a husband.
Thank you. Do you? Because men seem to be, you seem to be allergic to a man that's a man that know who he is and they move by you. Why is that? I noticed that too. When I was a child, I spake as a child, honey. I done put away childish things. I know when I'm looking at what I'm looking at. Had them there doing on post what they were supposed to do. But you can't leave from a place of insecurity. You can't do it. Because what parent you know is afraid of their kid outrunning them. That's what you want them to do. I want you to outrun me. I want you to be better than me. I'm not afraid of you outshining me. That's what my job is, for you to outdo me. So why is it the games we play, right? That you could go through all this. I could be faithful, baby. I can sweep the floor. I can wash the walls. I can do all the maintenance. I can do all of this. And yet you think you're going to dangle a piece of paper over my head to keep me in bondage. I know when I reach a place of maturity and know you have given me everything I need from you and you have nothing else for me. Even a child know that. They at home, they thinking, oh, when I get out of high school, I may go to college, I may go off here to this trade school, I may do something. They know they have reached a place where they can make a decision for their life. Why do you think we being kept with pacifiers in our mouth and trying to keep me as a baby because of your own insecurity and your fears? Yes, I'm going to leave. I'm supposed to. What?
You raise kids to leave. You don't raise them to stay.
The retardation is real. It is out of control. And I know for a fact, see, one thing I know as a lioness is I'm going to roar. And when I roar and I can hear my kings answering me back with a meow, it's something wrong. Because why you meowing and I'm roaring? I'm supposed to hear roar. But that ain't who you really are. That's what you've been made to become, to be accepted by society, to be accepted by people who you know intimidated by you, and they got way more than you. You got the stats, you got the following, you got all that. So what you intimidated by me for? I should be able to roar and hear my roar back. Why am I going to hear meow from an insecure man that don't know who he is? You don't know who you are, but I'm going to keep roaring until I hear what I need to hear. Because I understand something as a prayer warrior and an intercessor, that my reach was greater than them pews and them four walls. And God kept letting me see, you ain't standing here. And I kept saying, I'm done. It's a part of me done. I got to get out of here. I got to get out of here so I can sit down with my kings like Minister Tony. And he can unpack and talk and be transparent and be honest. And ain't got to worry about nobody saying, well, you know, if he would have never did this, then that wouldn't have happened to him. Did you hear anything like that?
It had to happen. It had to happen.
It had to happen.
And I'm glad it happened. Because I can sit down and talk. I can sit down and talk to some people, and they know it's real. When they start seeing the tears come out your eyes,
yes,
and you talking to them, and they saying, man, well, how do I make it? I want to go back, but I can't go back. Because if I go back, then they're going to treat me like this. The most powerful thing that I heard from...
Amen, Letitia Fowali.
I heard from a pastor. I won't put his name out there. He told me, I'm not intimidated by you. It's not my job to stop you. It's just my job to clip the excess feathers so you can soar. He said, because you're a mighty man of God. I don't know where you come from. And a pastor wife told me, she said, I'm not going to tell you to leave. But I'm going to tell you, when you leave, wherever you're going, you won't be sitting down long. And when I left, I was up in less than a year. And we're not talking about a small place. The size of it doesn't mean anything. But you've been faithful to that. And the thing of it is that the need is great. The harvest is plentiful, but the labors are few. And I remember when I used to ask God, why? Why this? Why no father? Why this? Why that? Why I can't never have this? Why? He said, the day is going to come. You're asking me now. But the day is going to come when people are going to ask me, why him? And he's going to say, because there's glory on his story. There are things that you didn't have to take. You could have gave him a piece of your mind. You could have did this. You could have did that. You didn't have to put up with this. You could have did what you didn't have to sacrifice. You could have, you grown. You're not a kid no more.
Correct.
It's some things that you suffered, some things that you allowed. When other people say, I wouldn't do that. So there's some things that God have for you coming to you because you made the sacrifices. You did the things that you needed to do. So we don't think that we serve a God that if you put your time in, payday coming after a while. You got some stuff coming.
Yes.
You can't tell me that I don't. Because you think I'm not in a place that you feel like I'm supposed to be in. You're not either. And I knew that. But I'm not coming against how you are. I understood that, and he got up over the pulpit doing a message. And I'm like, Minister Tony, the Lord say you're going to do this, you're going to do this. I'm like, what? No, not me. He said, but it's necessary. When you come back, you're not coming back doing men's ministry. You're not going to do this, you're not going to do that. You're coming back to do what you're supposed to be doing. And you'll have what you need. If you think what's on you now is something, wait till you come back.
When you said that you were over 3,000 men in ministry, right? You was over about 3,000 men. And you said that y'all would go and get the men.
Go on 79th every first of the month on a Friday night. Go out there. And I saw myself as a young individual. It didn't happen until I was in my almost 50. But I saw myself, I used to get up and to pray in the morning before I go to work. And I saw myself sitting on the side of the bed praying. and I saw my spirit leap out of my spirit to lay hands on a line of men who were all deformed and bent over. And as I would pray for them, they would straighten up as an army.
Wow. So did you find yourself, the very men that you reach for? Shout out to the chat. Mrs. Stewart, thank you for joining. Tisha Fall-Volley, thank you for joining. Julia, yes, man, it had to happen. It had to happen. Yes, indeed. Yes, Brenda LaSure, woman of God. Yes, in Jesus' name. See, one thing I know who I'm sitting in front of. I know that without a shadow of a doubt, because I sat there and watched it all over the years. And one thing I understand about God is that he do not take back what he give us. He doesn't. It ain't about what I've been through. It's about what I came out of. You thinking the wrong way. Job said it. I've been tested and tried so I could come out as pure gold. So if anything, I'm coming out better than I ever been. That's what you need to understand. And please don't look for the old me, because a lot of stuff got burnt off me in the fight. Yeah. A lot of stuff got now pure gold. Everything about me concerning God is pure now. It's even more pure than it ever was. My praise is pure. My worship is pure. My prayer is pure. Everything else is pure.
And I understand I'm so different.
Yes.
How was Paul able to talk about his grace? He had to be in need of his grace in order for you to talk about it. His grace is sufficient. Where sin abounds, grace does much more abound. So when you're going through whatever you're going through, God's grace is there. You can't take people places you ain't been.
Come on.
And you have a lot of people trying to talk to people and they ain't been there. So of course you can't relate, so you don't understand. Then put somebody in front of the people who do understand, who's willing to be transparent. Because the total job is to reach the lost, isn't it?
That's supposed to be. The lost.
The lost.
My good sister friend said something that was very powerful, and I'm not going to call her name because I don't want no rocks being thrown at her, and she ain't even the one saying it, but I'm going to repeat it. She said, people think that the church is growing because they got somebody else's members. That ain't how God said grow the church. He told us to go out and compel them to come in, that his house may be filled. He said, people, oh, we're growing. No, you're not, because ain't nobody getting saved.
And if you are an evangelist trying to do pastoral work, it ain't gonna work. We let people put us in positions because there's a need. But when you know who you are, you can't put a person in a position that they know not, and they're not graced for it.
Hello?
In order to be a shepherd and have a shepherd's heart, you have to have set up under a shepherd. You want men to be submitted to you, but you ain't never submitted to a man.
Deep.
So you asking God to allow men to come up under you and submit to you, and you ain't never submitted to no man in authority.
Well,
that's reckless, isn't it?
Very. Very.
That's reckless.
It is. Because you're expecting something that you're not willing to give. Where they do that at? Now, when you talked about transparency, see, that's one thing I love. I love religious, like seeing religious spirits crumble. I love it. Don't paint no picture of me like I'm all that. I don't care how much I pray heaven down. I don't care how anointed you think I am. Do not put me in that. I'm human like you. Mm-hmm. So this is my moment to testify, because this is what I love. And everybody, oh my God. Yeah, oh my God is right. Mm-hmm. Okay? I remember losing my sister. I was hurt. I felt abandoned by the church. I locked myself in with people. I prayed with and for people. And like you just said, when my turn came, I found that it was just me and Jesus. But like you said, it was purposeful. It had to happen. So we should have named this. It had to happen.
So you can have something that somebody else, but you chose it. Mm. You chose to allow it to work. You didn't have to. You could have said, I'm going to stay off just like everybody else stayed off. I ain't going to talk to you, God. I'm mad at you. And he like, okay, you know that ain't you, right?
Right.
Put that down. That ain't you. You. If it didn't work then, it ain't gonna work now.
When you talked about their reach, their compassion, their low place, that will send you somewhere to be a blessing, Lodabar, to be a blessing or reach to a person that can't give you nothing back. But I'm here to manifest the kingdom. So I remember on fire intercessor, prayer warrior, whatever people want to call me. Okay? I remember when I lost my sister and I was hurting so bad. I lost my sister. I was in a court battle. Everywhere I turned, it's like I was surrounded. And I was like, oh God, I just felt like I was going to pop. And I remember one day I passed by the liquor store. And it's been 20 plus years. I ain't thought about no alcohol. Do you hear me? No wine. None of that. So this particular day, I decided I'm going to dip over and get me a bottle. Because you know what? This is too much for me. This too much for me. I don't see nobody. I don't have the strength to chase you down. I don't got the strength. I don't got the strength to beg. I don't got the strength to plead. I don't have it. So I went in there. Felt really weird because it had been so long. And I decided I was going to get me some Stella Rose Black. And I took the bottle and I drank it. All. Till there wasn't nothing else left in the bottle. And I didn't feel nothing. I just drank it down. It made me sleepy. But I was just kind of like, oh, well, maybe I'm going to get some sleep now. I don't know. Drank the whole bottle. And so, in that moment, because I don't care how low you go, scripture say I made my bed in hell and he was there. After I got done drinking the bottle, and the Lord spoke up and said to me, he said, when you want to know what happened to people, when you ask the question, you see somebody, they doing good, they thriving, they running, they doing everything. And then all of a sudden, something happened and you wonder, what happened to them?
Life.
He said, this what happened.
Yeah.
Pain is what sent them there. Just like it did you. He said, but the difference between you and them is that you know the way. You know who I am. You know how to call on me. You know, but somebody don't know. So that thing take a toll on them and begin to rule their life and become a strong man. And that's what I'm talking about. If I never had went there, something entered into my heart for the alcoholics and people that's addicted. Something got in my heart. Compassion stepped in. You know why? Because I was in need of it and couldn't find it. So it made me identify with the unbeliever. All I want is some compassion, but I can't find it. I need somebody to have compassion on me right now. Intercessor, prayer warrior, travail, and intercessor.
He didn't let nobody pick you up in the spirit.
He did not.
All the times that you done been on your knees crying and you hear names and hold it, I gotta get up. I gotta pray for so-and-so. So if he didn't allow nobody to get it, it was something that was necessary for you to go through. So you can be able to relate. I understand. But if you ain't never been there, then you could be like, how could that happen? What a woman of God doing looking like going in the liquor store. And you'd be surprised how many other people go in the liquor store. Because I done been in the liquor store, and I done seen them in the liquor store.
Listen.
Bruh, what you doing here? Man, don't say nothing, be quiet. Hey, do you. But the thing of it is that you can get so hurt from it and from people to where I don't have no problem with you seeing me doing whatever I'm doing. Because you ain't got nothing to offer me. You ain't got nothing to offer me. No, I'm praying for you. No, man, what some had to have happened. No, man, the Lord dropped you in my spirit, man. And that was the first thing that she told me. That was the first thing that the wife told me. What is? Mighty man of God. Iron sharpens iron.
Crickets.
I say, but I say, but it's not about them. I did what I did is unto the Lord. I didn't do that for them.
Exactly.
Oh, but it still hurt it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it hurt it. Then to turn around, your grandma. Boom, then your grandfather. I had folk over to the house and I done went off on them. Oh, y'all get y'all so-and-so out of here. And I hadn't cussed in 30-something years. Get out of here. What you doing over here? Ain't no... Just go off. All y'all get out. I ain't been doing nothing but living right, doing this, doing that. You gonna ask me what's wrong? I ain't did nothing. And they feel like we ain't did nothing either. What you hollering at us for? I said, you ain't gonna have no waiting Excel over here. Take all of them, tell them to get out of here. So, hurt people hurt people.
Yes.
You can only give people what you get.
That is so true. Woo! My God. See, I was like, I would never know what it's like. We as women will never know what it's like to carry the weight that a man carries in this world. We don't know what that's like. We don't know what that's like to carry it. I heard a man say, he was an interviewer, he said, women would sit up and talk about what they got to gain from a relationship. And a man focus on, what if he lose? What if I fail? The failure, the attitude of a failure, the head hanging low. I don't see how comfortable, and don't get me wrong, we know that some men, no matter what you do, and try to help them, they decided they're going to be what they're going to be. They're going to move how they're going to move, no matter what you do. We understand, we got them kind. But if I could be honest, because I got nephews, I got male friends, I got all kind of male associates, that when they talk, we think we have it figured out, and we don't have it figured out. And we don't understand because we're not wired the same. So I might bounce back in 2-3 years. And you looking at the brother saying, well, taking so long to get over that, that'll make nothing, each male. How do you know? How do you know? Because he ain't going to recover all that he lost. He's not going to recover it. And he got to live with that scar. So how do we know when we got the support? Women, we got it. Honey, we got support from everywhere. But we can't say that for men. Not even right around each other sometimes.
I used to have, when I had the house, I had the guys that, and this was in my sinful state. Because you still can't get away from who you are. I would have the whole garage. I had the TVs up on the garage, the couches in there, and I would have real talk. Still doing men like it's men's ministry. Still doing the same thing, talking to the guys about what they going through in their relationships, and they coming over and they like, man, I really need this. Because women have an outlet.
We do.
Men don't have it. Who do they go talk to? And who do they go talk to that's going to keep it real enough with them that they've been there? So they would, the garage would be packed. I have Uncle Peter over there, he'll cook. This is ministry. It still was ministry. Because that's who you were. That's who you are. That's not who I was. That's who I am.
So you are?
You just gotta have people around you. No, my thing has always been, I've been there before. I know how it feels to go through alone. I know how it feels to lay at home at night, the enemy all in your ear, talking to you crazy. I know how that feels. So why would I allow you to go through that by yourself? And like you said, with Aaron, that's been my whole life. Everybody be like, why you hanging out with this guy? Why you like going around here, like you were going around here picking up the rejects, the retards or whatever. I say, no, I'm not going around picking up the retards. I'm going to pick up the ones that's on my route.
There you go.
And my job, naturally, is a rail operator. It's my job to get people from one end of the line to another end of the line. And my spiritual job is the same way, to get you from one place to another place, get you to your destination. And God used to tell me, okay, we got people sitting on the platform waiting for you. Because I've had people to tell me, I ain't getting on nobody else's train. I'm only going to get on your train.
Wow.
I'll stand here until you get right. When you get right, I'm going in with you. I say, Lord help me.
I know.
Lord help me.
Because I wish you would repent of the gift. So that, listen, I don't have to feel responsible for these people who is clinging on to me, still believing in the God in me, even though they can't even see him right now. But they saw him. They know he in there.
They'll tell you all the time, get it together, please. Please get it together. I know who you are. I don't know what, I know you've have been through, but these are unsaved people. They'll say, I'm just calling you and ask you to pray for me. I'm like, what? Yeah, I know he answers you if you pray. I'm sick, I'm in the hospital, I ain't doing good. Can you come pray for me? Because I know he hear you when you pray. You're like, you go to a whole church, you got pastors, you got all this. Why me? Because you kept it real with them. Real conversation, transparent. They know your heart. They know you better than you know you.
Okay.
So whatever you feel about yourself, get over it and come on over and pray so God can go ahead and do what he's gonna do. And he does it.
Man of God.
He does it. And he'll do it because you're not in a place that way you know it couldn't be nobody but him.
Nobody but him.
You ain't living right. Okay, but he still do what he do.
When you had the men, you've been around a lot of men, right? I'm focusing back on the fear of failure. Do you think a lot of our men hold back from a lot of things they want to do because they're afraid to fail?
When you're properly trained and when you're given the confidence, it's hard to get that from a person that's insecure. You'll never get back. It's called validation.
Okay.
When Jesus didn't do a lot of miracles, didn't start doing anything, and that's going back to the part when he asked John to baptize him. He said, because God told John, upon who you see the dove descend over him, and then you hear a voice from heaven saying, this is my beloved son, in whom I'm well pleased, hear ye him. When you get validation, somebody to tell you, I believe in you. Have you ever watched football games, basketball games, when that father step into ain't nothing like when your daddy show up for a game. And as a kid, I cried. I'm like, okay, Lord, let me get in the newspaper. Maybe my daddy will want to come see me. He'll say he got a son. Let me do this. Maybe my daddy. Never had that opportunity to see that. Oh, but I've been in some services where my daddy done walked in the building and said, this is my beloved son in whom I'm well pleased. Yes. I say, God, if you never do nothing else, I don't care how people think about me, how they look at me or whatever, but as long as I get up and you show up,
yes,
that'll build it up. That lets me know that you're pleased with me. And people may not like you. Oh, but you ain't gotta like me when you need me. When you have what a person needs, you may not like me, but when you are the person that God used in that area, how bad do you want it? So that means you got to humble yourself to get what you need, because God allowed the person to have it, regardless of how you see them.
Regardless. I'm intrigued. Well, it's a few things that set me. I'm like, just thinking about the Mrs. saying, you saved everybody else's marriage, and now we lost ours. That right there is messing with me.
Yeah.
Because I think that it's several different kind of relationships, even with parental, that you praying people kids doing out, but yours is slipping.
Yeah. And you're better. You've done your part of being a father, but you everything you've done, you've almost done it with other people's kids right there. So when do your kids get a chance to enjoy you by themselves?
I'm looking at a lot of, the scripture says that the older woman should teach the younger women how to raise their kids, take care of their man, chase keepers at home.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I find to be that's strange this day. And we did have a spiritual mother that was on that with us. She was on that with us. Being a mama, she rebuked us. If you don't get up out that bed and give that baby some cold, and get that baby some warm breakfast in the morning and not send him out the door in the winter with no cereal, she did not play with us when it came to home and taking care of our children. Today, it seems like it's a rat race and everybody trying to become great in 24 hours. So where I'm willing to step on whoever, I'm willing to neglect whatever so I can get next to this one. We social climbing. We have this false sense of elevation now. Elevation don't come from the east or the west. It comes from God. And this is why sometimes when we see people actually being elevated by God, we question it. Because I didn't have...
I didn't get it like that. I had to sit down for 10 years.
What are we doing?
We controlling people.
Yes.
It's witchcraft.
It is.
But we'll talk about the people who go to the fortune tellers and all of that. You're doing the same thing. What car should I buy? Let me go talk to my pastor. What school should my kids go to? Let me go talk to my pastor. We built people up to be God. And then when you see their humanity side, the regular side of them, now you leave God because you find out that he's human. But you put him in that position. So now the weight on him becomes that I need you to act like God. And that's too much for anybody to do because you're not God. God is obligated to show you that he's not because you got him there.
Wow. I show you. It's only one great I am.
Yeah.
How do you, because you talked about the father, the issue you had with fatherhood, the father wound, which I'm going to hit in June. It's going to be dedicated to the whole month of June. How do you think the father wound affects relationships with people and pastors and leadership? Because for some women, you that didn't have a dad, I wanted a dad so bad. But in a sense, when we get outside of the word and start trying to have and make the relationship something that was never meant to be, I believe it caused a whole lot of problems. You're not my dad at the end of the day. You can be a father, traits, give me advice and different things, but you're not my dad. And I can't see you in that light and have a healthy relationship ministry-wise with you. So do you feel like that father wound at some point affected your relationship with men of God?
As far as with men, it drew me closer to men because I knew what I didn't have. And then the insecurities that came from me not having it. I remember one day I was getting ready to do a Saturday morning breakfast thing with the men. I would always set aside the time during the week, and I'm This one was like, you usually get it early in the week. It's like drawn out. I'm like, I'm not going to get up there and just say anything. So if you don't give me nothing, we'll just be talking. So I'm in the bathroom, and my son, I look in the mirror. He said, go get both of your boys, one at a time. And they like, oh, Daddy, here we go with this. What are we doing? I say, stand in the mirror. He like, what? He said, Dad, come on, man. Where we going? I said, just stand in the mirror. I said, tell me, what do you see? Daddy, I see me in the mirror. I said, okay. I stood behind him. I said, now what do you see? Daddy, what you crying for? What you crying for? What do you see? Me and you in the mirror, man. Me and you in the mirror. I said, say it slower. I see you. I see you and me in the mirror. I said, now move out the way. I said, I stood in front of this mirror all my life. And I've never seen my father. I said, so that's why Daddy struggles the way he does. I was the ugliest. I was the fattest. I was a never gonna be, never gonna have. And when you around people who speak negative of your life as a kid, that's all you believe you're gonna be. You don't think that that's why your daddy ain't here. That's why your mama don't love you. These are, the enemy knew what he was doing though. But I never understood any of this until I got a chance to stand up and teach men ministry. And he said, open it up. Put your stuff on the line. Put it out there. I'm like, yeah, let's talk about it. So my son's standing in the mirror, and he did his crying. Then bring the next one in there. You're like, Daddy, what is you doing in there? What is you doing in there? We in trouble. I'm like, no, you're not in trouble. Stand in front of the mirror. Same thing. So my relationship with them was a little different. I would always tell them, they like, man, we didn't think you was going to do this because of that. I said, I don't do you the way you think I should. I said, because God doesn't do me like that. When I'm at my worst and I mess up, God, I'm trying to show you the love of God. So how could I show something that haven't been, you still know what you want. Even though you haven't had a father, you still know what you missed. You still know how empty you feel. And then by not having a chance to be there as much as I needed to with them, then it goes the same way. Now you got them out here trying to fend for themselves and trying to figure this thing out called life. Now you got to work longer than you got to work overtime, and you still don't have the time. So now they saying to themselves, they crying out. Who go get them kids? When you done sacrificed all your time to make sure everybody else's kids, and I say, God, come on. I'm looking like a deadbeat dad here, when I've always been here for my kids. Mm-hmm. But now I'm looking like, because these are not kids now. They're adults. But they still need a father.
That's so, first of all, for me to see your eyes start to tear up, I know it was coming from such a tender place. I know it was in it. And you know what? That's what I'm talking about. See, that I have to say this in my audience for those that get on me all the time and tell me, you always taking up for me. You always on their side. You be for these niggas, is what they tell me. But it's not that. I believe when we get to a place where we won't operate out of our emotions, and that for once, put your feelings down for once. Put your right to be right down for once. Put your neck rolling, you got something to say, down sometimes. And hear the place that conversation is coming from. Have an ear to hear so that you can respond with wisdom. And not your attitude, not your criticism, not what you think he should be according to who. Because you ain't been here that long to be trying. It's like we really, as women, have to get bothered with our men and our sons not being healthy. It's not okay. It's not okay. And I love it. I tell you, I could be in a room. I have been at work. They send me to another site. Supervisor come in. Mexican man. I don't know him. He don't know me. We sitting in the milieu. And what did he do around the holidays? Is start talking about his father. The man got choked up. He don't even know me. And he looking at me saying, I don't normally do it. He's like,
I'm sorry.
Yes, like,
I don't normally do this. But it's just something about you to make me feel comfortable enough to talk to you.
Exactly. I feel
That
safe
part.
to go there.
That part.
And we have to be that. We have to put on hold the finished product we want so bad. I just want you to just be this to me so bad. You want the fantasy and the news, what you see on the TV and all that stuff that's superficial. But what you have sitting in front of you is a masterpiece. If you can discern the place that all this is coming from, that got you frustrated, pulling your hair out on your edges, and digging. If you can have enough patience to sit down and listen, because one thing I know, you can correct me if I'm wrong, one thing I know about men that I have sat up and watched, having brothers, having whatever, they will say certain things, and it'll determine what you get next. Because you can say, oh, you can talk to me. I'm listening. You know, you can sit there. You can talk to me about anything. And then he'll say something. And that response going to let him know I can't go there with her. Am I lying?
She listening, but she ain't hearing me. That's enough of that. Because now I have to become vulnerable. Now I have to open up and share all this with you. And hope you don't do me like the last person that I told all this to.
Wow.
And then when you get upset with me, you don't turn right back around and use that against me. Oh, insecure Negro, mama this, that. You like, I didn't tell you this for you to beat me over my head with it. So it's a woman is help. If I could have did it by myself, I would have. But you can't. A woman has a womb. You have a vision.
Teach.
You give the woman, whatever you give a woman, she multiplies it, right? I would constantly, this is what God called me to do. I see myself doing this. I see myself doing that. And you'd be surprised at how your kids are listening. When you're going through different things, I don't know what we're going to do. Daddy, what you mean you don't know? God told you he was going to do this, he was going to do that. Then if that didn't work like that, then that means that God going to cancel that to allow you to get it, even though they said they was going to get it. That's what you teach us, ain't it? Because he ain't never failed you. We done watched them manifest it. These 7 and 8 year old kids. But the thing of it is this, if you don't give nothing, that's why I say write the vision, make it plain, so they that read it can run with it. If you ain't got a vision, that's a dangerous man to follow. And as men, we asking a woman to follow us, but we don't have no vision.
Ooh, speak.
So if you don't have if you don't have a vision, she'll go to work and help somebody else with their vision. Because a woman is help. She's a nurturer. She gonna go to, you gonna give her something to do, or some other man gonna give her something to do.
That's amazing. Julie say she listening, but she not hearing. Yeah.
We can tell when you're listening, because when you hear it, because you respond different.
Yep. I agree.
When you actually listen and you respond different.
That is something else. I'm just going this is what I see. This dating market. Okay? You have been married for a very long time. Away from the single life, so to speak. Very structured life, you know, coming home every night, all that. Tell me, when you went back out there, what
Buck wild.
did you?
Bucky. I told you I ain't gonna play with you. Buck wild. Cause I was hurt. And you felt like you done gave all these years, you done tried to be faithful, this, that, and the other, and you hurt. You feeling like you done missed out on everything. I ain't have a chance to do this, so I'm finna do it. And my uncle was like, Tony, dude, what's going on with you? I'm like, dude, I'm in. Everybody else said they turn. I'm finna get my turn. And you hurting. You hurting. And the first person to come around and say something, anything nice to you, because you still longing to be loved. You still, am I good enough? That was my whole thing throughout life. You jumping. Okay, you dancing. You doing this. Okay, am I good enough now? Playing baseball, playing football, playing basketball. Okay, I had 8 uncles. You steady performing. All my uncles play sports, so I gotta do something. Okay, because you're still looking for that acceptance from a man. Yeah. Okay, am I good enough now? Okay, what about now? Okay, now I got this job. And that's where dressing up come from. That's where all that come from. You still looking for validation. So when people be like, oh man, you used to model, you could have been doing this, you could have been doing that. I could have been caught up in some stuff and in some areas where I know I ain't got no business being in. That P. Diddy, all that stuff, that's real. You ain't going down that route and getting to those kind of level and getting paid that kind of money, and you might not come in like that.
Ooh.
Oh, but if you're gonna stay in there any kind of time, you're gonna be doing something.
That's a whole lot.
And you feeding a spirit. And some folk done already been molested as kids and this, that stuff. So you're gonna put yourself in that position and then open the door to that spirit? Because that's what the enemy wants to do to you when you get out there. Take you out. You need 25 years of close to 30 years of not being out there. Then you get out there, and folk dying out there. They ain't getting a chance to come back. So do you take advantage of that? Because, well, I know the Lord got me out here. I'm still got a mind to serve you. Certain things I'm just not gonna do. Oh, but there's some things that you do like doing. You may not like the other stuff, but there's some things out here that you like doing. Yeah. People say, no, it's only a pleasure for a season. Oh, some long seasons for me. I had some long seasons. I had some long years. It wasn't no seasons for me.
Oh my
and
God.
I would tell God, I say, mine is deeper. You go fishing. There's some fishes, they didn't swallow the hook where it got caught in the jaw. You can just pull that out of there. No, I swallowed it. So I need to be gutted. That's the kind of surgery that I need, God. You got to get down in me to get this out. I don't need the same deliverance like everybody else do. That can work for you. You can go to church and sit down and give your offering, and you can go back home. I need deliverance service.
These kind. You got these. Oh God.
Cause he after you. He after you. You ain't got a normal kind of anointing on your life.
That part.
So you think you're gonna have we don't. And when people say, you know, the devil be dude, that ain't no temptation. Dude, stop it. Some woman that walked past you and just smiled and, ooh, devil be out here tempting me. No, that ain't temptation, bro. Come here, young man. You can have it when you want to, how you want it, whenever you want it. That's temptation.
And you like her. Because it ain't temptation.
It ain't temptation when
I don't like it. It ain't
when there's no cookie monster, no booger bear. No. got what you want, exactly what you want, give it to you, all that. You ain't have to worry about nothing. You just sit back. You got everything you need. Let me take care of you.
So have you slowed down? Is it like, okay, I got out there.
Got out the car. I got out the car. I ain't even in the car. Car ain't even running no more. I can't play like that.
Yeah.
To thy own self be true.
Yeah.
I can't play like that.
Yeah.
And my grandmother used to tell me, Tony, just tell them the truth. Tell God the truth. God, I love it. I like the attention. I like the getting your ego stroked. I like to put on the clothes. I like the cologne. I've done for so many people. I would love for somebody to do for me. But that don't work for me. It don't.
It can't be fulfilling.
It is not. But he had to let you to see. He had to let you. And most people saying, I don't see how you can do that, but you've never had a chance to do that. So it's easy for you to say. It's easy for you to say.
Like I'm pulling. Just walking around.
And the same anointing that works inside the church works outside the church.
It does.
You can spot them. Yeah. Tom, come on, man. Go out with us, man. You know they're going to look for you. Come on, man. Pick them out. There she go. Look like she's going through a little something. Hold on. Just sit there. You don't look like you're having a good time. Hey, I just come to listen to the music. I ain't even here on that. Oh. So everybody, you got all them other guys here that's trying to talk to you. Why you over here? Because I was raised by. So, I was raised by guys. Yeah. I had 8 uncles. I done seen it all. No, dude, this how you do this. Shopping on Michigan Avenue, 18, 19 years old. Not spending a dime. Getting cars, all that. He saved me from something. When people talk about, I got tired of the work. No.
I hate when people don't do that.
I had friends that played professional basketball. When they would come in town, we can go hang out with them. We can go in any club that was in Chicago and not stand in line and go straight in. Getting there, don't have to spend too much of nothing.
So I guess when you talk about vision, these days, I honestly don't believe that men or women very few know the purpose of all of that. Do you know the purpose of why? Because you know what, I agree with a lot with what me and her saying. Women want the wedding, they don't want the marriage. They want the wedding. They don't want their marriage, but they want the wedding. I don't think that we really understand what being a unit is for. I don't think so. Outside of the social media and the pictures and saying, I said yes.
It's work.
I don't think they understand exactly what you say you want out your mouth. Neither is the value system the same today. Back in our grandma days or our mother days, the value system was family. It was priority. She took care of that man, and that's it. She ain't let nothing get in the way of it.
She let the man know, baby, I need you.
Yes.
We ain't gonna make it unless you do this.
Mm-hmm.
If you stroke a man's ego, you can get whatever you want out of him. He'll go out there and work 3, 4 jobs because he knows you depending on him.
Yes.
Or he'll go and work it for somebody else. Somebody gonna let them know that they need him. Oh yes.
Do you feel like vision is number one? I don't even think we really see the value of having a man like that. So where does that leave y'all? If we make y'all feel, and I'm not saying every man, but it's in most case scenarios, if you don't feel needed, is that the fuel behind a lot of homosexuality? Is it, okay, well, I don't fit over here with these, they talking about being this and that to these women.
It's more to it than that. It ain't just that. Barbara said, what happens when you're molested as a kid and it feels good? Because it's a feeling. What if you get used to that feeling and the enemy twists your mind to have you feel like, because then you try to do that with a woman and that don't work. It don't feel like that felt. That's what the kids are dealing with. We had a guy that came to the church. He said he had been molested so much as a kid to where he went and got his private parts cut off and operated as a woman. This is what his mom did to him. She would sell him as a kid. And when he got older, and then he started coming to church, he was 60-something. And he said, I no longer want to be like this. I've gotten around some men who's showing me how to be a man and who are not treating me like everybody else. I'm tired of living the way I'm living. But if you ain't never been through, like you say, you had a drink and it didn't satisfy you. But he still allowed you to see how it felt. Mm-hmm. He allowed you to deal with the feeling of it, not the spirit of it. Yeah. So there are some things in life that we deal with and have happened to us, but he never allowed the spirit to get a hold to you without going there too much. Because you have people who have been there. The enemy meant it for evil, but God intended it for good. Because if the spirit would have got me as a kid, I'd be messed up. And thinking, because when they pull on you, the enemy send them to you because of the need. Then the father figure, the this, that. But their intentions ain't on that. Their intentions is on something different. And when you get off into that modeling, it's the same way. When you get off into a lot of different things, it's the spirit behind it. And you have to know, wait a minute. Why would I put myself in a position like this knowing that this is what I'm going to have to be dealing with? How bad do you want it?
How bad do you want it?
And some people say, hey, I have one guy that said, I got a family to feed, so this is why I do what I do. So you sacrifice your masculinity, your manhood, or whatever, because now you got used to making all this money. And now you being pulled down this route. And if you don't go ahead and keep and do this, then like when Cat Williams was talking about all the different people and the things that they were doing. Okay, some people are given opportunities because of what they're doing. Some people aren't given opportunities because they're not going to go that route. So in selling out and doing what you got to do, the enemy going to open some doors for you. Mm-hmm. The doors is wide open. But when you're trying to do it God's way, okay, God, you promised me that you're going to give me this. I'm not going to take the handouts. I'm not going to take this because I know it's attached to some things. And I'm going to wait and I'm going to trust the process that you're going to give me what you promised me. You're not doing it.
What do you feel like, looking at our young men today, looking at the condition they're in and in general, in what ways can the men of God, because you're really not getting the other men that's really promoting a family man like that and one woman and no, they're not talking to them like that. So what do you feel would be most effective with allowing them to see in the long term that life not going to benefit you in the long term? Where are our younger men now? Because some of them, they'll come to me like, it's almost like, okay, I'm looking for an older seasoned man to show me the way because I'm stuck. Okay, I know how to get to women. I know I got a baby or two, whatever. But I'm trying to locate what's missing in my life. We know God is. What's missing in my life, and how can I be cultivated into that? What do you think the men of God, being family men, being integral men, what do they need to do to catch those fish?
You gotta have a safe space for them to come, because they have to feel like, okay, he get me. And it has to be a transparent place. When we had the different men coming and we talked about vision, I had a TV at home and we had remotes and got a message off that. So, okay, we're going to bring the TV to church and we're going to take one of the pastor DVDs and we're going to get the VCR back then and we're going to get the remotes. We're going to get the extension cords. We're going to get the power surges. We're going to give all the power surges to the leaders. We're going to give the pastor the TV, and we're going to get it. We're going to wrap all these gifts up inside of boxes, and when the men come in off the street for breakfast, we're going to pass them out, because God distribute gifts to all men, and everything is needed for the body. Pastor was like, bruh, this is ridiculous. And then somebody had the batteries that go inside the remote. Everything and everybody is needed to move this vision. Let the pastor hit the remote, and his vision came on. But it took all these men to be connected. You had the leaders had to connect to the people in the audience. The audience had to connect with the people that were standing outside the door to get them in here. Anything that you could move by yourself, that's no. But you have to have transparent people. So I would tell them, everybody bring an extension cord. I need all the leaders to bring a power surge. I would divide the people up. You get over there, plug into his power surge. You plug into his power surge. And we take the TV connected I was at that time, I was a leader, connected to my power surge, and then take their cords and plug it into mine and push it all. You got extension cords going all the way out the door. What you doing? Boy, this light bill gonna be high. But the thing of it is that everybody got the message. They don't understand nothing about scripture and the breakdown on it, but you have to, first natural, then spiritual. You got to meet them where they at. You got to help them understand what you're talking about. And they got that. And every time that it was time to go out on the 9 and get the men, oh, them folk will come ready. And then you got the guys that go to church and they had the tats on their arm, the earrings still in their ears, and all that. And they like, dude, you go to church. They're like, yeah, we out here, we doing men's ministry. We trying to come out here on these streets and get you. Dude, God got something better for you. And he talked to them, and they like, we'd had the guys getting out the cars on Friday night. Man, pray for me. And we had folk that was up there on the 9. They used to be on the 9. And now they seeing the friends out there like, man, so this is where you been at? Yeah, man, I'm trying to get my life together. Man, God is changing my life, man. He doing something for me.
That's wonderful.
And you feel like you're needed. You're a part of something. But you see other men who look like you.
Yeah.
Everybody ain't in there with a suit on.
Yeah. That makes all the sense in the world. We have to be transparent and relatable and intentional about the reach. Mm-hmm. Because it's like, no, I think sometimes we get it twisted. We want them to come to us. But God said go to them. But we'll pray God send them in. Why are we saying that? Why are we saying God send them in?
He not.
He not finna do that when he have given us what we need to reach, supposedly, what we need to reach. And then I caught that you like when I was a leader. No, you still a leader.
No, I was talking at the time.
Oh, okay.
Doing men's ministry.
Okay. You still a leader.
Yeah.
And these 2 hours has flown by. Oh my God. I cannot believe we've been sitting here for almost 2 hours.
You don't feel like you do.
It don't.
Good God.
Time flies when you're having fun. I am going to wrap this up. But before I do, I want to say this because I am like, first of all, I'm so honored that you was willing to come on and talk and be transparent and share. I am so intentional about roaring. Okay, I want my kings to hear me roar. I'm here for you. I hear you. I see you. I know where you at, but I also know what's in there too. So yeah, I'm roaring so you can be reminded that this is the level where you belong. You ain't got no business meowing now. You know, the men that are out there just wondering, just trying to find their way, that's just going around and around all type of life cycles, all type of everything. I don't care if you're in a jail. I don't care where you find yourself. As a king, your DNA is what it is and it cannot be changed. It does not matter. I was thinking about that. I said, I don't care how many mistakes you make. Mm-hmm. At my core, I am who I am. Mm-hmm. And nobody can undo it because God made it that way. So I'm just so grateful that you graced me with your presence today. I am. I'm so grateful. This is like, oh my God, I can't come down now because whether you see it like that or not, I see you like this. So now I got to stay with a certain flow when it comes, a certain caliber. Yeah. I do. And to know, King, man of God, we need you. I'm sure gonna pull on you for this June month, said for you and some more. Because why? I need kings that have a roar. You know the book Miles Monroe we read on Miles Monroe? When he talked about those sheep, bad. No, he was different. And I think that a lot of our young men need to hear a man roar so you'll know that it's in you too. You are not to be meowing. I don't care what a baby mama do. I don't care what the society say, what the government say, how many times you've been in jail. That roar was built on the inside. And they have to get around like beings to locate the roar and so that they can hear it come out of themselves and know it's in me too. So that's why the first thing is gathering. Mm-hmm. Getting all the kings gathering. I love what Apostle Cunningham is doing with Manhood Matters. Mm-hmm. Off the chain, where God is using, get the stuff God giving him to put together. Because we have to. Our community not going to survive without y'all. I don't care what we do. I don't care how much money we got. Mm-hmm. We won't recover without y'all. We won't. So we might as well just go ahead, roll up in our sleeves. You know how Cinderella, she know how to put on that pretty dress and them sparkling shoes, but she also know how to get down, put that rag on her head and them clothes and get down to business. Okay? Because that's just what we do. And this has been the Fireside Chat on intellectualradio.com. Thank you guys for joining us on this evening. Watch the replay. Find a brother. Find somebody that can relate, who need transparency to know that you can get up. Ain't that right, Minister? Before, what we got? I think you won. Say something to men that to encourage them and lift them. What can you say to a man? How can you be instrumental in him today saying, I can make it? What would you say to him?
First of all, I just want to thank you for the opportunity to be here. Mm-hmm. Thank God for an opportunity to share. And if he can do it for me, I heard one guy tell me, he said, Tony, if he can do it for you, he can do it for anybody. I'm your greatest example. That no matter where you've been, what you're going through, no matter what anybody else say about you, if God can do it for me, he can do it for anybody. Because the story of Mephibosheth, that's Saul's grandson, supposed to have been in a leadership position. David took over the kingdom. He say, when you come into the kingdom, Jonathan told him, when you come into the kingdom, don't forget my household. Saul died. Jonathan died. Mephibosheth, while the nurse was running in haste because the kingdom was in uproar, she dropped Mephibosheth. He became lame on both legs. He went down to a place called Lodabar. Mm-hmm. And the ending of that is this. God still restored him from a place of nothing and brought him back to his rightful place. God has a way of getting you back to where you deserve to be and desire to be.
Awesome.
He's faithful.
Yes, he is.
He's faithful.
Thank you so much. This is intellectualradio.com Fireside Chat. Until next week, have a good evening.